And for all of our listeners, I want to just offer something, and this ties back into the whole evolution of consciousness and mind, if we want to use that word.
We can.
We can, because
it brings permission.
Well, I have a sidetrack. I'll explore in a minute.
I'm watching it.
However, each and every one of us is an individuated particle of this wave.
Indeed.
And as light is understood as both a particle and a wave, it's kind of fun to think of ourselves in the same paradigm. That is that we can hold space and hold pictures and thoughts and impressions as if they were particles, as if they were real forms, or we can dissolve our need to have boundaries and ride the flow of whatever is happening and simply observe and simply be witness. Now, the reason I bring that up is, how do we evolve if we're both fixed and fluid? And one of the ways that I want to offer as an answer to my own question is through our dreams. One of the ways is through our experiences, and one of the ways is through our accidents.
Well, I love that, Sri. And Carl, when you were down here in Guatemala, and certainly in your research, I'm sure that one of the things you've come across is that the Mayan are very visceral about how we are dreaming our life and how we are collectively dreaming this experience. Have you looked at that as an aspect of the 9 waves?
Yes, I think so. I mean, certainly, yes. It plays such a big role in Mayan tradition and well, all the ancient traditions and all the indigenous peoples. I believe they really take dream messages very, very seriously, and I think we should. But I should, to clarify a little bit, I should say that to me, mind and consciousness is more or less opposites. Not fully, maybe, but mind tends to compartmentalize consciousness. And dreams is something that comes to us when our mind is not working. It takes a break during the night when we get to sleep. Falling asleep means deactivating our mind or deactivating our connection to the global mind. And so what happens then is that the mind is no longer active, and then you might say, consciousness in a non-separated form. All the things are being connected in the dream world that would be separated by the mind. And one of the things that I have noticed so much is that one of the most creative times in my daily rhythm is when I wake up, because then I'm still coming from the dream world, you might say, where things are not being separated. And so I've made all these connections in the night of otherwise separated things. And then when you're waking up, you're basically retrieving the mind, or you're retrieving the connection to the mind, and the mind starts to make sense of it of your experiences in some kind of a logical sense, and that's, to me, and I know to many other people as well, this wake up time is a very creative point in time when you still have the new knowledge from the dreams, and then but you only when the mind comes in you're able to formulate it and to make sense of it in a sense. So we go through a daily cycle where the mind comes in and the mind goes out, or where we download the mind and then we decouple the mind and so forth, and that's what creates our life's experience.
Well, you're reminding me a little bit of the Matrix, which had some fun symbols in it, and it's like we go to sleep and then he wakes up and he says, "Now I know Kung Fu," is that it's been downloaded. And the thing, some authors talk about the big mind and the small mind, or the individuated mind. One of the things that fascinates me is how we are, I guess, collaborating to stay individuated. That is, that the structures of our outer world are dependent upon individuated consciousness. And that as we move toward oneness consciousness, it means everything must shift. And I think that's a fundamental dialectic that is going to birth a lot of tension, and maybe that's exactly what's happening in our world now, is the tension of between individuation and universality is expressing through all of this reactivity.
Well, on a very densified level, right, on just a very practical level, look at the effect of globalization on humanity, on society. The effect of globalization has been dramatic, and in a way, it's this tiny microcosm of the greater universal reunification energy.
Mm-hmm.
And as people become more aware of each other,
right,
it naturally starts, at least has the potential to dissolve the boundaries of individuation.
Yet at the same time, people need to confront their own terror because the world has gotten smaller. What used to feel far away now feels very close. What used to feel foreign now can feel almost threatening. And so we're at that precipice where we have the choices. This is back to where we started today when we first started chatting here with Carl, is that we're at the precipice of our choices, and our choices matter more than they ever have. Yet, how many people are still not awake to the availability of the fact that they have the choice? That's a powerful moment to look at.
Yeah. One of the things I still point out regarding individuation is that in this time when oneness is becoming a possibility for the first time, I would say in human history, I think it's important not to confuse that with sameness, and I think also that creation is designed in such a way that will never get to be the same. And I think we should be very, very happy about that because, consider a possible world where everyone else was exactly the same like you are.
Right. No, that's a wonderful discernment that oneness does not mean sameness, and oneness does not mean conformity. Mm-hmm. I always like to think of those beautiful mirrored disco balls hanging that are reflecting light, individual rays of light, but they come from one source. Anyway, I love that. And I have this question in my mind that's really a little off topic, but the way I work with my mind is I include everything that's off topic.
Well, then go for it. All right.
And Carl, when you traveled and looked at the pyramids of the Maya here and then went down to Peru, I presume, and looked at the...
No, I have not been in Peru. I've never been to South America. I've been to Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Okay. Then my question is not 100% relevant, but I'll bring it up anyway just to bring this thought to closure.
I'll go for it, Sri.
Yeah.
We've spent plenty of time hiking in Tikal and being part of that, reconnecting energetically with the huge civilization that was in Central America. Then when we got to the Inca civilization in Peru, one of the things I noticed was that the quality of the monuments was quite different.
It was a stunning contrast.
And in particular in Cusco and what's it called? Sacsayhuamani.
And I always called it Sexy Woman. That's all I remember.
Sacsayhuamani. It's my mouth.
People know which one you mean.
Anyway, there's some wonderful ruins there where the stones are cut in shapes, and they're not uniform. They're all uniquely cut. And they're cut so precisely that you cannot slip a matchbook cover in the cracks.
And he tried.
Right. You tried,
Yeah, I tried. And so the reason I bring that up is it reflects a different technology.
Yeah.
Yes, it must have done. Or a completely different relationship to the material world somehow.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well said.
That's very well said. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And this has always been something that's kind of tickled my intelligence a little bit, because it's one thing to stack rocks and make a pyramid and experience the energetic of that, because there is a tangible energetic from pyramid shapes. It's another thing to be able to move massive blocks of granite over many kilometers, and yet it's quite another to have precise fit for these heavy stones. And so it really stimulates my imagination and opens me up to all kinds of possible interventions. And I'm not claiming anything other than I enjoy theories around how this happened.
and you know, bringing us, because it's amazing how quickly these shows go. So bringing us kind of into a culmination about this paradigm shift that's happening right now and the evolution on the planet. Where does that bring us right now? If people were to talk to you right now, Carl, and say, and you're writing about this in your trilogy, where are we now? What has all this brought us to?
Oh, it's a tremendous amount of simultaneous processes going on, and it has to do with the fact that all the 9 waves shifted simultaneously, and this is exactly what the Tortoquero monument is saying, which is the only ancient Maya monument that is talking about this particular shift that we now went through. I think the world is changing to the Eastern Hemisphere. Power is shifting over to the Eastern Hemisphere. That's a significant thing that is happening. And at the same time, that means shifting over to the right brain half. And at the same time, that leads to a lot of phenomena that I personally don't like too much myself. But you know, the divine is not asking me how to make it.
It's not asking for your approval, huh?
No,
but you know, I don't want to steal your thunder. I just want to interject one thing. I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Joseph Campbell, and he chronicalizes the difference between the materialistic, worldview of the Western civilizations and this earth-based, the goddess view of the East.
Yeah.
And certainly, you do have your parallel between left brain and right brain. However, what's the bridge? How are we creating the bridge now?
Over time, it's such an importance on this 9th wave that was activated in 2011, which is a wave that provides a mind, you might say, without duality. It doesn't have this kind of yin-yang polarity as all our past history has had. And in the long run, this is what people will choose, I think, and I would also like to say will have to choose for the world to have a good outcome. It is a new possibility, and it always brings joy to find your way into this non-dualistic thinking, non-judgmental thinking, non-judgmental way of relating to the divine. It's our mind that has blocked our understanding of the unity relationship with the divine. It's our mind, and that new possibility is there. That's why people are as you're saying, they're waking up in many places in the world and sense new possibilities. At the same time, these other waves are operating, and some people are choosing to you might say, stay in lower waves with lower frequencies, and I just hope that people wake up to the possibility of oneness as soon as possible. And,
well, I love that thought.
And having raised a teenager, I know they don't always wake up when you want them to.
But yet they're all in their perfect time.
And yet each has their own timing, like every seed from every plant. And so I do want to thank you for that contribution and remind us all that trust is an essential quality of the ascended heart. that the mind is the servant of the heart, and a useful servant as long as the heart pays attention.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if the great pole shift that we're all talking about was actually the shift within our own heart and our own mind from the left to the right in the discovery of unity?
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Carl Calleman, thank you so much for giving us your time today. You're welcome.
Pleasure.
It's been a
love
treat.
Your work.
And for once again, for our listeners, it's Calleman.com. You can learn more. Of course, Google is our friend when we research. You can find all kinds of things and enjoy. And for all of our listeners today, as we're coming to a close, I want to remind you that we are in a dance. We're in a flow.
We are. And, we are dancing through this month of September, the explosion of consciousness, kicking it off this week, as we did with Carl Calleman, our special guest. And next week, Shri, we're going to dive even further into it and say, well, can politics evolve as well? And our special guest next week is former Light Party presidential candidate, David Raphael. And we have quite a bit of exploring to do on a political front as well. This is going to be a powerful month. It already is a powerful month. And remember, angels, September 9th, we are 48 hours away. If you're catching us live and if you're catching us in the archives, you're already feeling it. Supermoon is here.
Be clear on your intentions, because your intentions will overcome the speed bumps of life.
And they will create your choices, my angels. And as the one gift I hope the three of us were able to bring forward for you today, you do have a choice. Your life is a choice, and consciousness is ever abundant.
And until
angels, we love you.
We do. And until we have the joy of being with you again, may you know that all is truly well.
Thank you for joining us at Shri and Kira Live. To have your questions answered, send us an email to guest@shriandkiraradio.com and check out more information at shriandkira.com. See you next week. Namaste.